Okay.
My name is Rich Foreman. I'm a Folsom resident and a serial entrepreneur. And today, what I'm proposing is a proposal for the city to actually invest in entrepreneurship and innovation. And I'm just going to start out with a small statistic that 64% of all new jobs come from small business. And this is a statistic from the SBA. And what I'm going to talk about today is what our neighbors are doing, the ingredients of a thriving startup ecosystem, and what we have here in Folsom. Then I'll talk about our proposal, then what's in it for Folsom, and then if we have time, I can go over case studies and the Folsom strategic goals. So let me talk about what our neighbors are doing. So the city of Sacramento, they've actually been investing in innovation and entrepreneurship for years. They actually have a whole team dedicated to innovation and economic development. They've had two separate, two $1 million funds where they've given out grants to organizations to promote innovation, entrepreneurship, and workplace development. And they've also set up something called the Sacramento Urban Technology Lab. In terms of Elk Grove actually has started a $800,000 startup fund. Last year, they actually had a $20,000 startup pitch, which is like a Shark Tank, where they had $20,000 in prizes. And not only that, but they actually help startups with getting leases, making connections, and getting positive press. And the picture that you see there, that's actually Kevin Favreau. He actually won the Elk Grove startup pitch event. He's actually a Folsom resident, so he actually had to leave Folsom to leave our city to get resources elsewhere. Talk about Roseville. Roseville now is investing $1.3 million in innovation over the next 4 years. They have a startup space called the Venture Lab, and they've also created a startup boot camp called Roseville Rising. The next slide, you can see they actually had a great event last year. It was a terrific event. It's called GFX, and that's the Roseville mayor actually presenting it there. City of Rockland, this is actually fairly new, but they've actually have a program called Build Up Rockland. And this is where they're investing in existing technology companies and help them basically be put on a more stable footing. And finally, El Dorado County, they've actually set aside $500,000 for 10 scholarships dedicated for startups. So there's actually 6 components of a thriving startup ecosystem. It's talent, education, events, mentorship, an accelerator, and funding. So I'm going to talk about what we have actually in Folsom. We have talent. We have the talent. We have Intel. We have PowerSchool, Micron. We have educated, experienced people here. And in terms of education, we also are producing educated people. We have Folsom Lake College. We have DeVry University. And Sacramento State is just up the road, a couple exits down. In terms of events, this site here, we actually have a lot of events are occurring around Granite City, Startup SAC, Startup Folsom. We've actually done programming to encourage entrepreneurship. So what's missing in Folsom is mentorship. We don't have an accelerator program, and there is no funding for early stage startups. So this is what our proposal is. And our proposal, essentially, we want to address what's missing here in Folsom. And that's mentorship, incubators, create a seed fund. And we also want to actually basically have a solid programming, a startup program, which is right now being done on a volunteer basis. So in terms of programming, we're looking at having 4 events a month, and that's around education, networking, inspiration, and mentorship. And we're also planning something we're calling Tech Week, which is going to occur in May. It's going to be a week of events. It's going to have a pitch event, similar to like Shark Tank. We're going to have a Women in Tech event and a TEDx that's focused on technology. In terms of mentorship, we've actually created a program called Founders Anonymous. It's really an entrepreneur support group, and we just had an event last week where basically 14 entrepreneurs came in, they came with problems, and as a group, we help each other out. We may not have solved all the problems, but we put them in the right direction. And then we like to propose a 1-year program where we're going to partner with an accelerator, where we're going to basically try to put 10 startups in, and then basically at the end of a year, they're going to be ready for investment. We also like to ask for seed funding, which will provide grants for early stage startups. So the next slide here is our proposal. We've actually have spreadsheets to show you how we came up with this number, but it's roughly $300,000. So finally, I want to talk about what's in it for Folsom. And really, what we're talking about is innovation as economic development. And what we're trying to do is basically use the talent here. We're investing in the talent that we have here and grow it. So the traditional model is that you're going to woo someone from the Bay Area to come here. You're going to give them money or whatever, tax incentive to come here. But you're also competing against Roseville, Elk Grove, City of Sacramento. But you're also competing against Alabama, which is actually paying them to move here. But if you're investing in local entrepreneurs, helping them, giving education guidance, it's a much smaller ask. And you can see, Power School was just a 3-person startup.
Richard, just want to remind you, you have 7 seconds left.
Okay, and the last one is matching funds. And if you give me a few minutes, matching funds, by investing in our program, Folsom becomes eligible to actually request funds through several programs. And the stipulation is that you have matching funds and you have programs that demonstrate the capability and commitment for entrepreneurship. And the funding can be leveraged at 1x or 2x in terms of return. You get a 1x or 2x return in federal funding.
Rich, I'm going to need you to wrap it up.
And that's it.
Thank you.